Good evening and welcome to the first edition of Beyond the Front Page for the fall 2012 season here at Cayuga Community College. I'm your host, Guy Cosentino. For those of you who've watched Beyond the Front Page in the past, you know that this is a show that looks at issues that are not necessarily on the front page of the Citizen. I will give due credit there, but are important issues in our community. They may be topics like we're discussing tonight, the 2012 United Way campaign, or shows that we have coming up in the future, such as about Cayuga Works, about the Auburn Community Hospital, as well as the Human Services Coalition and the Seward House. And at the end of the program, we'll talk to you a little bit about how you can participate and be on the front page, and also about the political forums that will be occurring next month. Earlier this month, about 2 weeks ago, the Cayuga County United Way kicked off their 90th annual campaign at the Auburn Holiday Inn. The local United Way funds 41 programs in 23 different community agencies throughout the county, from those dealing with programs from the very, very young to the elderly and everything in between, from substance abuse to transportation. And we're delighted to have with us in the studio two former co-chairs who are back as co-chairs, and we'll figure that all out in a second. But Jim Courtney and Fricano, who have had a tremendously long relationship with the Cayuga County United Way and its agencies, are here to join us as the co-chairs this year, as well as Michael Reifenberg, who is the publisher of the Citizen, but he's also the United Way's board chair, to talk about this year's campaign. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you.
Good to be here. Well, delighted to have you, and what we do is an update. It's you're 2 weeks into the official campaign, though the campaign really started months ago as you had Paysetters start. So where are you? How much are you trying to raise this year?
Well, the goal is $1,332,000, and as you said, we've got some Paysetters going. They started prior to the official kickoff, of course, and were also completed by then. And we raised, I believe it was in the $75,000, $80,000 range on that, which is a real good start for us. And we've been making a number of presentations to...
Your Paysetters are some of them are agency families, some of them are local businesses. Right. I think I saw Jacobs Press, Tompkins Trust, Wegmans
is on
but
there.
Some of them are agencies as well. You're all trying to hit that. So really good start right off the bat.
We're feeling real positive about that.
So is the 1.3, is that how much, well, first of all, how much was raised last year, roughly?
I can tell you
last year was a little over 1.3.
So is this year higher, lower?
Our initial goal is higher this year.
It is. Okay.
We're looking at the $1,332,000, and basically that's to keep the lights on and keep funding the programs at current levels and keeping services where they are. We're also looking at over almost $250,000 in requests for funding for additional services and needs in the community, and we're hoping not only to maintain, and we plan on hitting our goal, that shouldn't be a problem, but we're really aiming a little higher than that, because there are so many other unmet needs in the community that need to start being addressed.
So let's skip to what I was going to deal with at the end, because that is kind of important right now. This every 2 years, the United Way goes through a process where you reassess where the agencies are. They have to apply again. Is that
That's correct.
the normal process? So right now you have a fund distribution committee, which is made up of not United Way people, but community leaders.
Volunteers.
Steve Rich is
He's
the chair right now. Yep. Bob Graney has been the chair in the past. They are now looking at all 23 agencies right now and saying, okay, this is what you're submitting for, and they can submit for more, less, rarely is it less, or new programming.
Correct.
Am I correct?
Correct. That's not all they do. They also look at what they've done with the money. There's an accountability piece that the Fund Distribution Committee looks at to make sure that what we funded got done, and we hold agencies accountable, and they're all great agencies. They do a terrific job, but we think it's part of our due diligence to make sure that when we do fund a program, that we're getting good positive results that are documentable, that we can point to and say, you know, we're really doing.
Well, you're taking that on the road when you're going to go to, whether it's Welch Allen or going down to the Citizen or any of the agencies to make a pitch for donors. You're making that case now. This Certainly. Is what your dollars.
Absolutely. Right.
So I want to just go back to funded distribution just for a minute, because some people ask where the money goes. Mm-hmm. So this committee will then make an assessment of based on whatever number you all deliver by December 12th. Is that the?
Yep.
Well, we want to try to have everything in for a final report to the Emerson Foundation by December 1st.
Okay, and that's a key
Okay.
factor, and we're going to come back because the Emerson
Exactly.
Foundation has done a really cool thing this year, besides their normal giving on this. But in doing this, the goal then would be to have fund distribution, then make an assessment. So assuming you just get 1.3, they will then make an assessment where that 1.3 goes. It may not be to the current menu. It could be to different things. It could be to new programs. It could be expanding current programs. It could be cutting programs, correct?
Right. Applications came in recently, and now they're going through the review process, and so once we go through all that review process, this is all going on simultaneously with the campaign, of course, and hopefully by the time the campaign is finished, the Fund Distribution Committee will have done their job and will be ready to
And it's not them just
identify
sitting
where the funds go.
in an office on the second floor of 17 East Genesee Street.
no.
They're going to this. So there are site visits. So somebody will go to Cayuga Counseling. Somebody will go, which is not far because that's in the same building,
Right.
but somebody will go to Options for Independence or go to the SCAT van or go to the neighborhood house.
Yes.
Yes. My goal is to mention every single agency I've done here. But somebody will go there and have a discussion with the board president, the executive director, and others within that to assess whether that...
And review documents and
review
budgets
documents.
and
Okay.
and outcomes and results. I mean, it's not an arbitrary process in any way, shape, or form. We do needs assessment surveys, and we develop tools that tell us what the most important needs in the community are, and the agencies come to us and say, we want to meet that need in this fashion. We like to say at the United Way, we multiply and divide. We multiply the power of individual gifts from all the many people in our community, and then we divide that among the most critical needs in our community. So you just do the math, it comes out right.
So in doing what you're doing now, with 2 weeks in, or do you think you're, and I know this is tough to do because some of it's credit card, some of it's check, some of it's employer deductions from paycheck. Are you on, do you know if you're on track, ahead, behind at this stage, or is it just too early?
It's probably too early, but from the presentations we've made to date and the questions and the observation of the numbers of people who are filling out their payroll deduction forms right after our presentation, as I look at it and compare it to when I was chair 4 years ago, I'd say we're right on track. I think things are going well.
You also chaired when it was a really lousy time to chair, right after the 2000. Well, no, but it was
Thanks for reminding me.
but it was a downturn in the economy.
Yeah, there really was.
And then you did it after that.
I was in 2005 and 2006.
So you had good years.
Well, yeah, and that's why we're kind of dividing the responsibilities this year. Jim's going to raise the $1,332,000. I'm going to go for the $220 that we need for the new program.
For the new program. Okay, keep it on that. So, and if you haven't seen through, I know this is, we were hoping to have this here instead of the two, no, having both of you, but there are signs, life-size, truly life-size pieces of art throughout the community with both of you with a hat on because it is the 90th anniversary of the United Way. It used to be it was always the United Way, but it was the Community Chest before that. Any idea how much the United Way has given out over 90 years? Oh. I got to think it's tens of millions of dollars.
It is
Yeah,
tens of
it's
millions.
tens of millions.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So what is your, do you have a theme? I know David Gould and Suzanne Gould, who were the chairs last year, focused a lot on domestic violence, and unfortunately we had 3 tough cases last year that made the case for a very successful United Way. Do you have a theme that you're using other than the two of you in birthday hats?
Well, our slogan...
Which makes you really tall.
Yeah, he's really taking advantage of it that way.
You just add in that height differential in there as well.
Our slogan is 90 years, many lives.
Okay.
And we're focusing this year on children and early childhood intervention and development and making children success, helping them become successful, improving the quality of their lives. There are over 6,000 children in this county in programs at the United Way family agencies that receive funding from the United Way. And it's not always about crisis intervention, and a lot of the things we do are emergent services or for people in trouble, but they're also prevention.
Fund the Boy Scouts, the
That's
Y,
right. Recreation programs,
the Girl Scout,
mentoring.
everything.
Right.
Okay. So in doing this, I don't want to lose sight of this one item. How can people participate, and how can they give? Because that's one of the reasons you're here. How do you want people to participate, or how can they?
Well, the easiest way, if they are working at a business or company that does payroll deduction, is to go through the payroll deduction process. And most of the major firms and businesses are willing to do that.
But somebody can write a check and send it to who?
Yeah, send it to the United Way office, 17 East Genesee Street.
Okay. And we're going to give that address out.
And they can also go online to the Cayuga County United Way.
Do you do PayPal now? Because I know that was a problem in the past. You can make donations online now?
You can make donations online at www.unitedwayofcayugacounty.org.
Okay.
And you can sign a pledge card and be billed. You can be billed quarterly or monthly for your pledge, so that you can do it
But
in
like
small
the federal
bites.
government's figured out, the most painless way, whether you're in the 47% or the 53%,
Yeah.
is through payroll deduction.
Exactly, that is the most
Do you have
painless.
the pledge card for Guy, by the way?
You tend to hit me
We've got
up.
it upstairs, and he will get one.
So let me talk about one thing that's always a worry, and it has been the worry at least for the last 8 years, and that is the economy and it's not so much its volatility, but we've had some not great employment numbers. Obviously, in the last couple of months, both school districts and the city of Auburn have had some layoffs. Just before you started the campaign, Welch Allen announced a large restructuring that will hit about, I think, over a 3-year period, 45 people at the plant that's right on the border. And if I remember correctly, Welch Allen, while it may not be the most money you get in the campaign, it's the highest number of donors because of their employment base. Did I get that right?
I believe so.
Yeah,
probably, you know,
they have really good
How does that
participation.
affect? How does that affect your campaign?
It's too early to tell right now. They have always been such great supporters.
But I'm not only
of
talking about
United
Welch Allen, I'm
Way.
just talking about people
Of
who
the
say, you know what,
economy?
governments are laying off people. Businesses, you know, there have been, I won't name the businesses here, but we know that some businesses, some major corporations have done some furloughs,
Right.
and some have cut some hours.
Well, here's the good news.
here's
Here's the good news. The good news is that life in Cayuga County tends to be steady Eddie.
Yeah.
We don't see the big swing in real estate values that occurred with the housing issues. Things go up a little, things go down a little. Our job market and our employment rates stay relatively steady. People have jobs in Cayuga County, and they're doing well. We don't have the Fortune 500 companies. We don't have the $500,000 houses on every street corner. But traditionally, this United Way has been one of 5 in New York State out of 62 counties that has traditionally made its or exceeded its goal every year, while counties that are much wealthier than our county have failed in
because
the
of the
mission.
swings.
Because of the
So you're
swings.
not going out of your way and saying, you know, we got to do something special at Welch Allen, or we got to do something
No.
special at City Hall, or
But the nice thing about it, I mean, as Lon said, this is a very giving county. I mean, we're very fortunate to be here. But the fact of the matter is, you know, the economy is tough. We're fortunate to have a number of donors for the United Way, but there's a lot of people out there that still don't give to the United Way. We haven't built a relationship with them, so there's still a lot of
And that's one of the
opportunity.
things as chairman of the board you have been looking at over the last year.
Right.
Separate from this campaign,
Right.
you want to expand that base out. And I know the Goulds did an interesting thing last year where they had a challenge grant out there that was basically for every new person they added, they got X number of dollars.
Right.
That was to expand the base. Is the hope that those people that they expanded the base, and I want to say their goal was 500, but I think they got a lot more than
They
that.
got a lot more than that, yeah.
Do you think those people, your hope is that those people will be repeat?
We have a great campaign cabinet. Dave Gould happens to be a member of that cabinet, and we have a plan in place to retain those folks as well as build on that.
Yes,
Yeah.
recruit new ones.
Right.
Because that's a part of another grant.
So what do you see your roles as chairs?
We-
Besides comic relief. You guys,
Occasionally, there's some comic relief with my twin brother here. Our role is to tell the story of United Way and how it positively affects the quality of life in Cayuga County.
and you guys both come from different perspectives. You were the head of the YMCA for how many years in Cayuga County?
In Cayuga County, 20.
20.
Yep.
And so that was besides being chair of a campaign 4 years ago, you had a long-standing relationship as an agency person.
Correct.
You've been a volunteer since 1860?
Approximately.
Okay. But many of the films that people get to see, including this year's, you've been involved in the film that's done for the campaign for how many years?
Oh, for about...
You did that with Steve Gage?
Yep, yep. Steve Gage is a great guy. He's great to work with. He's a very talented videographer, and we've been putting our heads together since 2005.
So what was your thing? It was a great video this year.
Thank you.
It dealt with, to a certain degree, autism, but it dealt with a whole panoply of service agencies from the Gavris Center and Neighborhood House and others. What was the theme this year for you?
Well, I think there's a couple of salient points. Number one, we're focusing on children. That's our future. As Mike pointed out, this is a very giving community. I mean, look, Baby Easton, people are turning out in droves and raising money. Every time someone has a medical emergency or a house fire, jars pop up on every corner store, and people do dinners and they raise money. This community cares about its neighbors and its friends. There's a cohesiveness in Cayuga County that's quite remarkable. So when we look at children, and we look at children with needs in particular, and by the way, congratulations on the birth of your son.
All right, thank you.
Changes your perspective when you become a parent, and you start thinking about things being different and what's important going in that forward look. You know, you want to pay it forward. And we want our children to have services if they need them, and to have positive outlets to build their character, to help them be ready for success in school, to make sure that they have food security, that if they do have trouble in their life, there are resources for them, because that's the future of our county. We look at 90 years of our history, and we're thinking, what about all the years that are going to come? What about all the lives that are going to grow up in this county, and what will the quality of life be for them? So that's our focus.
The City of Auburn did a wonderful thing this weekend with the Baby Easton event up at Hoops Park, and it was just terrific. And somebody came to the thought, said, well, is that going to hurt the United Way? To me, it's going to help, because I think people just tend to give. It's a momentum that is driven from that. Is that what? It's not because somebody gave $50 to Baby Easton, which was good, doesn't mean they're not going to give it to the United Way. They're just going to find an extra $50 still to give the United Way.
There's a lot of Baby Eastons out there.
That's the giving attitude of people in Auburn and Cayuga County.
So I'm going to ask this. Last year, you had David Gould, who, as I nicely will say, that if he wasn't in law enforcement, he would have been arrested. Because he would probably agree with that. He would, because he and his wife were everywhere, okay? They were everywhere. So I have to ask, two guys who've done this before, did you have any trepidation that says, oh my God, how are we following these two?
Actually, we outfoxed them.
Okay.
Because we're doing something a little differently this year. We anticipated that, see? And so what we did was we wanted to make this a team effort this year. So although we're co-chairs of the campaign, we've enlisted the aid of many past co-chairs as a kind of
the Albarusis were at the event the other day. Gary Finch was at the event.
The Lewises are involved.
Lewises, Dave and
so this is the old chairs campaign more than that.
Right.
Most likely didn't come out too well.
No, that's the old chairs campaign.
So I guess I was going to, because their campaign was different.
Right.
And there was a flexibility there. And I just was wondering, the guys who, it's like a politician who says never follow a child.
Right.
On stage. You just don't do it.
Speaking of which, Gary Finch is also a past co-chair, and he's actively involved in the campaign this year. So, I mean, we're doing some things a little differently because times are changing. And I think one of the messages I would like to send to the community is don't be afraid about the things that haven't happened. Don't let the imaginaries get in the way. You know, a very small amount of money, comparatively speaking, to what people would spend on lattes or out to lunch, or the discretionary spending that we all do, very, very small amount of money out of our pockets each week mounts up to a huge sum of money in the collective sense of our whole county. So let's think about that. It's not going to impact anybody, heavily, but it will be providing service. I could give $3 or $4 or $5 a week to the United Way, and it will provide services for a family that I could never afford to provide on my own.
And what's important is when the people realize what the money's going for, the services and the programs that United Way funds and the agencies that are involved, the need is out there. An interesting statistic that I asked the staff to come up with today is the population of Cayuga County, 79,700. Okay, how many people were served by United Way programs last year? 52,000. 100,000.
So more than half.
Yeah, so
two-
it's
almost two-thirds of that.
66%.
Right. And so we always say we're not giving money for somebody over there. We're building programs and safety nets for all of us.
Yeah, we're building a community.
So what you two are doing, besides doing television and doing the bigger events, you are also going to sites and asking people for money. Am I correct
Yep.
on that?
Yes.
Okay. Any idea? how
Shamelessly, I might add.
Shamelessly.
Yes.
Any idea how many venues you'll hit by the time you're done? Do you have a goal?
We want to hit as many as we can, and the staff is lining up presentations as we speak, so our calendar is changing
You're
constantly.
doing the Cayuga County
daily.
Legislature
Yep.
tonight. You did
Yep,
the
we
City of Auburn.
Council, we're BT.
We'll be at Walmart tomorrow.
Walmart tomorrow morning.
This goes on.
So there have been some changes in the last couple, and I would be remiss if I didn't ask this, and it's nice, it's great that you're here. Your executive director, Tim Kelly, who was on here last year and has been on several times, he's no longer with the United Way. When did he leave?
He left about a month or so ago.
Any particular reason why?
He left to pursue some other opportunities, and we were very fortunate. Gail Homa-Curling is...
So I was going to say, what are you doing in the interim?
Yeah, in the interim.
She's up there watching
She
us.
is, she is.
She's taking notes.
And for those that don't know, Gail was Tim's predecessor, and we're fortunate that she was available to step in, and we haven't missed a beat.
And we can say she's wonderful even if we didn't know she was up there.
Yes,
So-
that's right, that's right.
So how long will she be with you?
Well, we're in the process of putting together a search committee. We'll
So you haven't done the search yet. You're
we haven't
starting
done-
that process.
In the process of, and
Any idea how long it'll take?
I'm guessing maybe about 3 months.
So you could end by the end of the year.
Right.
You wouldn't be ready to announce somebody at the end of December.
Probably not.
wrap-up. Okay.
Probably not. But
So you have somebody on board right now, and you'll go from there. I do want to go back.
I'd just like to
Yes.
make one point. I think we have very few staff members at the United Way. What really is the heart of the United Way are the volunteers. The 30 or 40 people that are coming and sitting in board meetings, that sit on marketing committees, that are going door to door, that are the campaign cabinet. That's really what the United Way is, and it's such a well-oiled machine with such well-established practices and procedures. It's a very efficiently run organization. So really, the 2 points I wanted to make is that we have so many good volunteers that make our organization hum. And it's really not our campaign. That was the other point I wanted to make.
I wanted to
It's
say that.
the community's campaign. We're the cheerleaders, but it's what the community is doing for itself. It's what the community is deciding to give to itself, and we're the conduit for that. So I just wanted to kind of make that distinction, because I don't want everybody to think we're raising the money. It's really everybody out there, all the people who live in our community, that are raising the money and making these things happen.
If I could just make one correction on that. Nobody wants to see us as cheerleaders. We'll be the coaches. Okay?
I thought we were the clowns. I don't
I can leave that all alone. So, at your event at the Holiday Inn, though, you did announce a couple of things, and one of those was this interesting two-piece pieces of information from the Fred L. Emerson Foundation. How is that working? What are they doing?
Well, actually, guys, it's going to be a three-piece foundation here. There's a new donor challenge similar to last year's, that the foundation will match dollar for dollar any new contribution to this year's campaign. Okay, so any new donor, they will match.
So if Johnny
one
Jones,
for
who's
one.
never given before, comes up and gives you $50, that's going to be matched by $50.
Yep, that's going to be 100
Is it up to a cap, or?
Up to $50,000. Okay. The second one is a step-up challenge, and that's the foundation will match dollar for dollar any increase in an individual's gift from last
So
year.
if Sally Smith has been giving $500 a year for the last 5 years, if she decides to go to $600, her $100 will be matched dollar for dollar up to?
Up to $50,000.
And then you still have your base, a challenge grant, I won't say challenge grant, but your base funding from Emerson is still in place.
Yes, and what that is that once we get to $1,282,000, they will then donate $50,000 on top of the money they've already donated to get us to the $1,332,000.
So this is a whole harmless type process at the end to get you there.
Yep.
Do you have an idea what your average gift is?
That's a good question.
Well, they range. I mean, we have corporations that have...
No, I'm talking about Johnny. I want to go back to Johnny and Sally.
Oh, you mean
when they
blue collar, work in a factory somewhere,
$1 a week, $5 a week?
People give $1, $2, $3 $5 a week, $4 a week. We have a program, $1 More Matters, and we come back to people and say, you know, if you gave us $3 last year a week, if you give us $4 this year, your name goes into a drawing.
And this is the generosity of Walmart and Wegmans.
Of merchant and many merchants in our community that provide, Wegmans and Walmart provide each $1,000 gift certificates. Lynch's Furniture provides.
So this is for all the helping hands.
Oh yeah,
This
right.
is not just those two. It's a whole group of businesses that will give you if you go above a certain amount.
Right.
Right, it's $1 More Matters, and then there's the Helping Hands program, which is
So what's the difference
basically
between the two?
For every $25 you donate, your name is entered into a drawing. So if you donate 100, your name's entered four times.
yeah.
And that's, you know, Lynch Furniture is number one there with a lazy boy,
the YMCA, the
recliner,
Doubleday,
Right,
number,
yeah.
okay.
Right.
But the Walmart and Wegmans is a different piece. That's
Right.
if you go above your giving.
Right. That's your $1 More Matters.
Okay.
And they're very generous, and not to mention the fact that they also run employee campaigns and make significant contributions over and above that to the United Way.
So we've covered most of the agencies. Can you make the case right now, well, why would somebody give?
I guess I'd say, why wouldn't somebody give?
Okay.
Why wouldn't you? I mean, this is your community. We all live here. You never know. I always say, you know, being a paramedic, no one knows better than I do that all of a sudden, one day, fate comes knocking on your door. And you're dealing
It
with...
took almost 28 minutes. We had a bet this morning about how long it would take Fate to arrive here.
Fate just got walked in the door. And as I mentioned at City Hall, in my own family, after volunteering 20 years for the United Way, my nephew had a son that was born with significant challenges and is going to need major surgery and will be receiving some of the services that we've been helping provide to the community. Didn't expect that.
Right.
So, you know, Fate's out there, and it's not
Well,
just
the
about...
56,000 number says
Yeah,
it.
yeah, I mean...
Yeah, it's there. Everyone in the county probably knows someone who has been positively
they
impacted by
have it
United
themselves.
Way dollars.
That's
Correct.
right.
Okay.
And, you know, we have to do it ourselves. Government funding is becoming, has gone the way of the Great White Buffalo. Foundations have less money than they ever had before. So really, it's up to us.
Well, government, state, and federal, you're on the state United Way board, am I correct? State funding is drying up massively
Absolutely, absolutely.
with the end of stimulus money and all that.
Yep.
Can I ask, just as a final question, to a young professional, whether they're in Ignite, though they are givers, to somebody who has never participated in the campaign, what do you tell them?
We tell them that this is part of living in Auburn and Cayuga County. United Way is a tradition, and you need to be a participant and celebrate in the tradition of United Way and to help your neighbor.
So to qualify for the Emerson grants, you want to have that money in by November 30th?
Correct.
So that qualifies for the December 1st.
Yes.
And the campaign will go till December 12th, and you will end up, I believe, up at Emerson Park.
Yes.
Yes,
where you
that'll
will
be the
wrap up.
wrap-up. Yep. And of course, if someone wants to donate on December 31st,
You'll take
we're
it.
more than willing to accept.
That's right.
Absolutely.
And they can be checks, cash, credit cards, spare change. That all goes, and they can send that to 17 East Genesee Street, which is the United Way offices, or talk to any of the member agencies. Am I correct on that?
Right.
We do want to thank the co-chairs for this year, Jim Courtney and Lon Fricano. Thank you for doing this, for your service to this community. You've been doing this for a long time. Thank you for stepping up again.
It's an honor.
Yes, it is.
And I want to thank Mike Rutherford, because you're one of the unsung heroes in the background trying to make sure this all works together. And you are the chairman of the board of the United Way. Is your term up at the end of December, or will you continue on?
I'll probably continue on. I think it's 2 year. Yeah.
And hopefully we'll have you back to talk about, we didn't talk about youth allocation. I'm assuming you're still doing that and some other programs.
Absolutely.
The United Way. So gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you.
You can
Thank
make
you.
your donations to the Cayuga County United Way at 17 East Genesee Street in Auburn, 13021. They'll take them by mail, or you can go online at the website and put it on through PayPal. We'll be back on Thursday, where we'll be joined by Billy Chabot, the Executive Director of the Seward House Museum. She'll be talking about the Teams of Rivals author Doris Kearns Goodwin's upcoming visit on November 15th, and the movie that comes out the next day based on that book. as well as Seward House's new book of photography by Jacqueline, and I'm not saying it right, Kondaraki from Aurora, and she's done a wonderful color book on the Seward House. We'll also be back with Ed Hayes of Cayuga Works, who will be in here to, Cayuga Centers, the old Cayuga Home for Children, who will be talking about their 160th anniversary. In the coming weeks, we'll have the Human Services Coalition, Auburn Community Hospital, as well as our economic development folks here, as well as tourism individuals to talk about what is going on that front. They'll all be up here at the college, and we'll, in mid-October, be here for the candidates with the new 24th Congressional District, hopefully, and the 2 new state Senate races that are competitive this fall. Because of the number of forums we have each year, the Citizen on their site, auburnpub.com, will have these forums to be downloaded the day after they run on Time Warner, to be viewed by those who may not get this channel through Time Warner. We'd like to hear your thoughts. You can contact us at cozgytho@aol.com or Beyond the Front Page, P.O. Box 839, Auburn, New York, 13021. For Cayuga Community College, I would like to thank you for joining us for tonight. We hope you have a good night and have a great tomorrow.